Yes, it's working. Okay, we had some issues there. For some reason, it wasn't coming on, but we are live now. Okay, let's have a look at your critiques or your videos that you've sent in for critiques. I think we have 2 since the last video. I only done one on Monday, and I've just put up, and I've put a link up in the chat there as well to next live. So if you want to submit your videos for critique, then stick them on there. So let's have a look at the 2 we have now. Hi Paul, I've been practicing handstands for the past few months. I've finally got a few decent freestanding holds. Awesome. Any tips, critiques would be great. When kicking up, should the shoulders be completely engaged from the start? I find that I have an easier time balancing when I push my shoulders up once I'm actually in handstand. Yeah, so that's a common one with the shoulder position when you're going into handstand. Let's put this video so everyone can see it. So common one with knowing what to do with the shoulders and what is active shoulders, what is non-active shoulders, and they're relevant, how relevant that is, or their connection to the hips is really, really important for your catch. So if we have a look at what's happening at the moment with your balance, so you've got good kick up, you've got good control on the handstand, but the thing is at the moment there's a lot of movement coming from the hips. So what I'm guessing you're doing, because I can't see 100% from the camera angle, is when you go into handstand at the moment, and what you're talking about in terms of active shoulder, a lot of people think active shoulder is actually opening the shoulder up. So when you're in handstand, so if I'm here, people think that this is active shoulder when I'm scooping the shoulders in like so. So I'm opening them. I think it's actually the opposite in a lot of ways. So the shoulder comes forwards a little bit more as an active shoulder, plus pushing away. The risk is when we push away is that we also open the shoulder at the same time. So if I'm in this position and then I push away, but I do this like that, my hips get more up and over. And when your hips get up and over and your shoulders go underneath you a little bit more, it makes your position more like this. And then the hip tries to control you at the top. And if we watch your hips in that position, you can actually see, that you're moving your hip a little bit like this. I'm exaggerating. There's a bit too much hip movement, but ideally, whatever our legs and our hips are doing, they just stay there. And then our shoulders stay active there. So they're slightly in front, and I've pushed up, not there, because that makes you top heavy. And your hips and your legs feel like you're going to go over. So thinking about what I've just said, if you watch that video back again, if I can make it work. Okay, so if we look at that video again from what I just talked about with the handstand position, we kick up. So shoulders are nice there, they're in front. Watch this one now. See how the hip now has gone over. So it's slightly over the top of the shoulders. Where we want the hip and the legs slightly behind and the shoulders slightly forward. See the little dance in the hips? I think you see it this here as well. See the hip moving around, the angle in the low back changing. So we want the shoulders to be doing that work, not the hips. But what you're doing so far is fantastic. Keep up the great work. Make sure you're doing back to wall and chest to wall as well. And what I do is a superset. Back to wall pulls from the wall, chest to wall pulls from the wall, and then your freestanding holds. So you do like a superset of all 3. So you're still getting that freestanding balance, but you're also getting the benefit of increasing your balance window and understanding how important that base is to control the pull from the wall. Okay, and then we got another one. Hi Paul, so I started my handstand journey from December 2024 and your videos were really helpful to learn handstands. I am fine in overbalance, but I'm practicing underbalance. My goal is to learn the tuck press handstand within this year, but I don't have enough shoulder strength. I'm practicing incline pipe push-ups and assisted handstand push-ups to increase my shoulder strength. Are there any other calisthenics? No, I've just got to open the full message up. Are there any other calisthenics workouts to improve my shoulder strength for tuck press push-ups? Okay, so there's a difference between tuck press push-ups and like bent arm variations and straight arms. But basically the same thing needs to happen with the shoulders, is we need to build strength and control the shoulders slightly in front of the hands to control the underbalance, and that allows us to play with the press and the handstand push-up. But let's just have a look at your video that you've sent in. So we've got I'll put that back again to the start. So we're kicking up, shoulders nicely forwards, feet go over a little bit. So slight banana in the body, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing because the shoulders stay in front, the shoulders stay in control. So what I'd be practicing there is pike push-ups. Fantastic. Keep doing the pike push-ups. I'd also be doing any type of straight arm pulling movement you can do. So like front lever pulls, skin the cat, that type of thing. Amazing to carry over and condition in the shoulder, the scapula, as well as all the handstand stuff. And then the biggie is just lots and lots of work of that toe pull type movement. So when you're chest to wall, you externally rotate the hands, and then you're pulling from the wall using the shoulders. So this one, externally rotate the hands, shoulders come forwards till the toes slide down to this position, and then we need to get very good at that type of movement there. Both in the repetitions, without letting the hips get in on top, and the hold there, hold there, hold there, hold there, and back again. That's what we want to become very, very good at. And that's going to give you your underbalance control when you kick up freestanding. And then when you start to go into your presses, handstand push-ups, that's your base, that's your platform to stack on the bent arm strength or the straight arm strength on top of that. But again, really good progress so far. Just keep up that balance work, keep increasing the balance window, keep the pike push-ups coming. Some planche work would be good as well, tuck planche. So make sure you've got one or two key movements in terms of strength from a straight arm point of view and a bent arm point of view. Stack that on top of all the balance and mobility work, and you'll be in a really good place. And I've got lots of videos on bent arm press to handstand or straight arm press to handstand, whether that's tuck or straddle. So it depends which one you really want to work towards, but that underbalance control is going to carry over so much to all of those and just increase your balance window big time. Okay, so that's the two critiques we had sent in the last day or so. Let's now have a look at any questions that you guys have. And if you wasn't on here earlier, there's the link in the chat to the next live video that I'll do. And if you want your videos in there, at the moment, we're not having that many sent in. So I'm managing to do every one. But if it starts getting busier, I will have to just pick some out. So get in quick before it gets too many submissions. Okay, bro, please. I know the chat's moving about. Bro, please, one arm handstand from 0 to max. One arm progressing, I can do partial one arm handstand hold for 2 to 3 seconds. Yeah, so the biggest, how to send the video. So see the link at the top in the chat. Click on that, stick it in the comments. You'll just have to upload your video to YouTube, either a public video or an unlisted video, and then stick it in the chat there. That was the best way to do it. But in terms of one arm handstand, the biggest thing is get your work in repetitions to come back to handstand, come back to 2-arm handstand every time. The risk is when we're trying to learn the 1-arm handstand is that the temptation is to try and lift the arm up or go to a progression where you fall on every attempt. And then you count those as your working sets. What we need to do is count only the working sets is the ones where we return back to 2 arms. So if I'm going to do, say, a 1-arm fingertip hold, no, let's go even newer than that. So if you don't have fingertip holds yet, you might go into this position, into your straddle, and then I just look at the hand, tip some weight over to one side, hold 5 to 10 seconds, come back. That counts as a right side working set. But if I do this, which is the most common thing to do, that's not a working set because I fell over, okay? So you want to go as hard as you can towards a progression, hold for 5 to 10 seconds. It might be fingertips, it might be one finger, it might be lifting the hand up, but then come back and land. So a harder variation might be there, straddle, look, weight shift, fingertips, even fingertip or lift, but then you must come back to there, but try and get at least a 5 to 10 second hold, whatever progression you're working towards. So try and be strict on that for 5 to 10 sets at least to start with, and then you can add in play after that, but make sure that you're getting the work done first in terms of your working sets. The one-arm handstand, actually probably the two-arm handstand is the same as that, because most people will try kicking up in the middle of the room hundreds of times, where if you do your wall drills as your working sets, good quality repetitions, and then reward yourself with 10 minutes of play after those, you'll find that you're going to make much better progress. You're still having the fun, but you're getting the proper working sets in as well. Yeah, send your handstand balance video. That would be great. Noland, hey Paul, what's the main issue causing pelvic rotation when shifting weight to the other hand in order to master the one-arm handstand? Just your sweet spots off. So you can try and assess it and work out, is it lats, pecs, what's rotating me, is it the pelvis position? Well, that basically your body can't stabilize the position you're in. So you need to back it off to an easier variation and do longer holds there. All it is we're maxing out. No different than if I was doing a squat. If I put too much weight on the barbell, there would be a point where my body's going to buckle and I'm going to fall. So all I do is I don't train that weight. I train lighter weights for more repetitions and get better and better. Exactly the same with the one-arm handstand. Don't worry too much about trying to assess what muscles aren't working or what you're doing wrong. Try and rewind it back slightly to a slightly easier progression. Do your working sets there, and then eventually you'll be able to keep progressing. You'll still fail, but the fail point will come later on the progressions. So, if you're failing a weight shift at the moment, trying to get up onto fingertips, if you back it off to just weight shift, then eventually you'll be able to go to fingertips and you'll fail on one finger, and then you'll fail on lifting the hand up, but you'll keep progressing. So just back it off a little bit. And that's sort of the same with all of these exercises. And that's why it's really important to know your progression lines for the movement that you're working towards. If we only know 2 progressions, and I've got to try and get from this progression to this progression, it's too big a jump. Where if I've got lots of progressions, I can start off on one, move to the next, move to the next, move to the next. And then I can go forwards or backwards depending on sets, reps, time, whatever I'm working on. No different than adding weight to a barbell. You just know how to increase slightly or decrease slightly. Yes, it's about the bent arm tuck press handstand. Okay, so if it's bent arm tuck press handstand, crow to handstand is your friend. Do lots and lots of crow to handstand. I've got lots of videos on crow to handstand, but just getting really, really good at shifting body weight from the squat position to the crow or frog position to handstand if you can do it. If you can't do that yet, so it's from squat to frog, crow, shifting weight, back again. If you can't lift the legs off, that's fine. Don't do that yet. Just keep on then pushing. And if you combine that with things like pike push-ups, you might be able to get little floats here. If you can't float yet, just keep working on all those progressions. I've got loads of videos on those. But become an expert at frog to handstand, and then you'll be in a really good place. Hey, hope you're well. And I have wrist pain while practicing under balance. Is it normal in the beginning? Yes, because you're just pushing your limits, and you're in wherever you're buckling or losing position, your wrist is going to take everything. So as things become easier, it's easier on the wrists. I would take the hands a little bit wider, externally rotate, create a bit more space, and pull it back to a slightly easier variation. Don't try and force your body to do it. And if you find it still plays you up, do a little bit of work on P-bars as well. So if you want to carry on training, just get some lower P-bars and do it on there, or just try and watch your volume, intensity that you're doing, and bring it back a little bit. It's just a sign of you just pushing it a little bit too hard at the moment. How many times it takes to get 1 rep of freestyle handstand push-up to multiple reps? How much time it takes? It all depends on how good your balance is and how good your strength is. You need both of those to get a freestyle handstand push-up, because you can be super strong against the wall and do loads and loads of reps, but if you can't balance, you're going to be struggling with one, because it's going to use lots of energy. Where if you get to the point where you have real efficient position because of balance, meaning that you can hang out in any position. So if I go, like I'm not warmed up now, I'm actually really sore from lots of muscle ups yesterday. If I go anywhere in my balance window, look, I'm halfway up on the handstand push-up now, but I can hold that. I'm at the bottom. I can hold this. I can hold 3/4 of the way up. I can hold all the way at the top. I can hold right close to the bottom, head not touching, and back again, and everything in between. And I'm holding a conversation while I do that, is because I've got very, very good at positioning the body in the sweet spot. If you're not in that sweet spot, you have to put in lots more energy to balance, lots more strength, whatever it is, or you're using overbalance to a very high degree to get you up, which is great, but it means that you need to fill the gaps with slow eccentrics, hold those positions. Actually, let me put Rosie Cam on for a second. I'm just going to have a drink. Okay, where were we? How can I progress from elbow lever to handstand? Are you talking single arm elbow lever or double elbow lever? Elbow lever, single arm is in some ways easier to get to handstand than double. And I would do that, if you are talking single arm, I would do that on an elevated box or something. So coming across, get really good at coming across from elbow lever to shoulder stand and up. Because you can flick your legs up. I can do elbow lever up with one arm. And I'm going to frog banana the position. So if I'm here, I'm going to use the rock, the head and shoulders down and up. And it's even easier if I raise my hands up, this would be even easier. But I'm going to go here, croc or single arm elbow lever, hips and feet up to handstand. So I used the whip of that movement plus the overbalance plus the banana, and taking the hips and legs over to help me out. But then eccentrics is your friend on those. If it's double arm elbow lever, like a 90-degree handstand push-up type movement, then you obviously need a deficit handstand push-up, and you need to have a bent arm planche type movement, not just an elbow lever. I've got lots of videos on those. How to do a handstand pirouette, please suggest some drills. I never train handstand pirouette. I can turn around in a handstand, no problem, because my handstand balance is very, very good. So to do a pirouette, to turn around in a handstand, I'm assuming that's what you mean. Just become very, very good at 2-arm handstands, and then very good at underbalance, which is what you need to do to get good at a 2-arm handstand. And then you can shift weight around and move around. So skills like that. It's like handstand walk-in. How do you get good at handstand walk-in? You get a very, very good handstand. 1-arm handstand drills. I've got lots of tutorials on 1-arm handstand drills. 1-arm handstand is very, very simplistic. It just needs thousands and thousands of repetitions and hours of consistent practice, and you'll get a 1-arm handstand. Everyone can train a 1-arm handstand. It's just consistency of just doing the drills, working on the mobility, side bends, and everything in between. The better your splits are, the easier it's going to be. And then just start moving across. But I'll quickly run through it really real basic level, super fast. So basically, to do a 1-arm handstand, I'm going to go hands underneath the shoulders. So roughly there. We don't want to be in too wide position, because you have to shift really far forwards. My goal is to go from a straddle position where I've got equal weight in the hands. So straddle position there. I'm going to look at a hand I'm going to shift across, become an expert at that. So I've got a little bit more weight in my right side now than my left side. From there, I'm going to shift even more, and I'm pushing my right elbow in towards the middle, hold there. From there, up onto fingertips, start to take fingers away, go to one finger, take one hand away, come back down again. That's it. So they're all the different stages. There's like 5 or 6 different stages there. You just need to work out which one you can do and then hold for 5 to 10 seconds. Do that 1,000 times. Then go to the next progression another 1,000 times. And it's impossible to say how, I'm just saying a big number, but you just have to put the work in. And then when you're ready, you can go to the next one. If you go to the next one too fast, you'll fall out of position. So go back to the one slightly easier than that. And then just keep progressing through. Does frog stands help to master the handstand? 100%. I've become a master at frog stands. The cool thing with frog stand is that it teaches you underbalance, it teaches you bent arm control. You can play with shifting and deloading weight. You can practice going up into handstand from there, using a wall, using a box, using a chair, stepping on from a chair onto the frog position, back off again. Or if you're newer to it, it's just a great way of conditioning more weight into the hands and shoulders and practicing balance in a very safe environment. So yes, 100% carries over. Press handstand balance. Yeah, press handstand eccentrics as your friend. Make sure you got good mobility. Come down as slow as possible. I'm not sure if there's a specific question there. Thank you so much, Paul. Pleasure. I tried press handstand using strength, but at a point in pike position, I fall lack of strength. Yeah, there's probably lack of balance. So just understanding lever arms, because when you come up, your legs are going to go one direction, your head and shoulders go the opposite direction to counterbalance. And your hips are involved in there as well. So if I'm in this position here and I want to press handstand, I have to take my shoulders really far forwards until the hip crease gets on top of my hands, and then I can do it. And see there, that was like really inefficient because my legs went really far this way, my head and shoulders went really far this way, and then I had to bring that in and balance at the top. Where if I get better at going this way with my legs out to the side, I then don't need to go so far forwards and backwards. So if I come into this position and come sideways, that's a way more efficient press because I'm stacking more, but it's obviously relying more on flexibility. So you will need to work out which is the best pathway for you, depending on the skills you want to work on and your current balance, strength, and flexibility. How many prerequisites are required for handstand push-up? Balance and strength. Now, there's a certain amount of mobility involved in it as well, but it's mainly just balance and strength. You need the balance if you're doing freestyle handstand push-ups, so you need to get good at a freestyle handstand. And then in terms, you need to be able to do strong pike push-ups for repetitions, have a conversation where you can do pike push-ups. If you can't do that, work on those. If you can't do that, work on your dips and your standard push-ups. If you can do that, okay, work on your like back to wall and chest to wall handstand push-ups while you're still working lots of work on the balance and making sure when you're doing your back to wall and chest to wall handstand push-ups that they look like a freestanding handstand push-up. So not up and down like this, down like this. So hands are forwards. You make a triangle between the head and the hands, and then you go back to that position. So it should mimic the pathway of the freestanding handstand push-up. Back to all handstand push-ups can work for freestanding. Yes, as long as you do them with a foot bent. So I wouldn't do them like CrossFit style. They're good for CrossFit, but not good for getting a freestanding handstand. So here, I bend this leg, but watch the straight leg. Stays in line with the torso as I come down. This leg is just helping me for balance. There, and then I come back again. So if I photoshopped that bent leg out that's helping my balance against the wall, it actually looks like I'm doing a proper handstand push-up freestanding. So we're trying to mimic that as much as we can. Obviously, if your balance isn't very good, you're going to need to rely on the wall a little bit more, so it's not going to look as clean as mine does. But you want that to be more the case than being laying against the wall and just going up and down. We want it to be as freestanding as possible. Uploading my short. Awesome. I'll check that out for the next one. I'm only staying on for like half an hour today, so this one's nearly over. In one arm handstand, I can hold up to 3 to 5 seconds, but it doesn't feel like I'm balancing. Yeah, so just go fingertip, very, very light one finger, and hold there for time and then return back again. Or 1, 2, 3, bring the hand back down. 1, 2, 3, bring the hand back down again. So make sure that the hand that's on the floor is super light. You lift it, it's super light, come back down again. Because what you're probably doing, if it doesn't feel like you're balancing, you're probably just falling slowly down. Where we want it to be, I'm in control. I can come back to a light finger on the floor, back into that balance again. If you can link two of those together really nicely, that probably means that you're in a good place and you are balancing it. How much I have to hold handstand and how many rep handstand push-up against the wall for doing handstand push-up. It all depends. Basically, you just need to have consistent catch in a handstand to get a freestanding handstand push-up. You want to be able to kick up 5 times, catch 4 times out of those 5 at least. If you're not, then you probably can't do a freestanding handstand push-up yet. And you need to be able to hold for 30 to 60 seconds minimum freestanding. That just shows you've got enough control to be able to play with freestanding handstand push-ups. However, if you don't have that yet, you can still start playing with partial range handstand push-ups, be close to the wall but not using the wall that much. But it is very dependent on lots of aspects. So you need to assess it, individually, what are the things you need to work on, and be sensible in terms of the working drills that you're using. Make sure that you're actually, succeeding in the working sets, not falling in them. How many reps handstand push-ups against the wall? It's really hard to say, but you should be able to do a nice slow eccentric that looks good. So you stay in control all the way down, kiss the head very lightly to the floor. Okay, awesome. I will look at your link on the next one because this one's nearly over now. Tell me a workout plan if I can do 2 to 5 handstand push-ups, like not detailed, but a rough idea. Tell me a workout plan if I can do workout plan for what? So tell me a workout plan if I can do 2 to 5 handstand. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean, what the workout plan is for. And I can't really do workout plans without knowing lots of information. That's what I do online coaching for. I assess people. I do lots of critiques of all their different types, their balance, their strength, their flexibility. And then we put together a program. It's really hard to do it. I've got lots of videos that go into all the progressions of handstand push-ups and presses and one-arm handstands and everything in between. So use those. You'll get more information out of that and self-critiquing yourself. Whether you've got a coach or not, you need to become an expert at self-critiquing. So videoing yourself, where's your gaps, filling those gaps, that type of thing. What do you do with older boys who should be able to press but can't? Clearly, it's their flexibility, makes sense. Yeah, you just need to. It doesn't matter really an age thing. I have a lot of, because I'm older. I'm 49 soon. I have a lot of older people come to me for coaching, for online coaching, and sometimes they actually can be more flexible than the 20-year-olds. So it's not necessarily an age thing. It's more just making sure that you assess, where you're at for mobility, strength, and balance, and then giving yourself the correct drills to get into a position to be able to press. Because if you're strong but not flexible, you can still press, like I showed a minute ago. So doing this type of press, if you're not that flexible. So here, bend the arms a little bit, bend the knees a little bit, and then going up. And then on the eccentric, work on cleaning it up more. That type of thing works for everyone if they got a little bit more strength, but not so much flexibility. I'll get my words out. But again, you need to assess yourself or get someone to assess you and then work out where your gaps are. We can fall during press forward. Yeah, you can always fall during press. You can fall in everything. So at every point in this type of training, you've got an overbalance and an underbalance. And if you lean too far forwards, you're going to fall on your face. Doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's a freestanding handstand push-up, a crow, whatever. Same if you go under balance, you can fall onto your feet. So we need to understand that when we're putting energy forwards or energy backwards, kicking up to handstand, pressing to handstand, all of the above, you can overdo it. So we don't want momentum. So we want the energy always to try and be going up and down. It's very rare that we want it to go forwards or backwards. So, whether it's a press handstand, handstand push up, muscle up, you want to be, pushing down to go up in a muscle up. You want to be pushing down into the floor when you press up, when you do a handstand and everything in between. I can do free wall handstand push-ups, but I can't progress in there. What is the best way to increase strength and reps? You've got to understand whether you're actually weak or whether your balance is off or your technique isn't very good. If you video yourself for the next one and add your video link, I can tell you by looking at you. I'll be able to tell if you can video your handstand push-ups against the wall. I'll be able to give you some feedback that will be much easier than guessing now. Hard to straighten myself on the handstands, hips and core. And also when you're in a handstand, just your body prioritizes balance and positions of strength. So you might actually have better flexibility than you think you have, or you're trying to get into a position that you can't get into with your hands overhead and things like that. So hang every day, do lots of work on your thoracic spine, and don't try and have your hands too close when you handstand. Most people try and have their hands way too close, which makes their elbows go out, and they actually should have their hands a little bit wider, which makes that overhead position much easier. Under balance, over balance in one arm handstand. Yeah, 360 degrees balance in one arm handstand. So basically, it's a bit like the, why am I rotating in a one arm handstand? Don't worry about trying to understand it. Just pull the drill back slightly to stop you falling and do lots and lots of repetitions of that drill. And then you'll be able to go to the next one without falling, whether it's over balance, under balanced, rotation. What is the most stable and efficient hands width in a handstand push up? So handstand push up wider. So my 2-arm handstand is there. My press handstand is there. My handstand push up is there. My handstand to planche is there. My 90-degree handstand push up or dead press is there. So normally a little bit wider, the more intense the movement or the more mobility you need at the bottom position. And the more balanced it is, you can bring your hands in, but it depends on flexibility. I'm doing handstands for 3 months already and I'm stuck. Yeah, you'll have to give me, I need a lot more information to that. Handstands is like that though. You feel like you're not making progress and then suddenly you get, another 10 seconds. But you might have been stuck there for 3 months. That is handstands, but just make sure that you're doing all the drills, the underbalance, the overbalance, freestanding work, and the mobility, and you're actually training enough. A lot of people, when they look at how consistent they're training, it's just not enough. So yeah, there's a lot of things that could be the reason. Do you have a certification exam for you? No, I'm not sure what you mean by that. You mean like an assessment or something? No, that's what I do with my online coaching. I give assessments and give programs from that assessment. When I do my handstand push-ups, the weight transfers more on my upper chest rather than my shoulders, making the handstand push-up path longer and inefficient. Any tips for this, Paul? Yeah, that could be just position of strength. It's like why you're stronger in an incline barbell press than an overhead press. That our body wants to go into that position. So, it's one of the reasons crow to handstand and stuff is easier as well, because your chest is facing down when you go into that position. So just really practicing your pathway with eccentrics is probably the easiest way to do it, because you can get really good time under tension and hold a better body position when you do eccentrics, especially if you're going to go to like a deficit. I'd work on that really slow and controlled, work up to freestanding eccentric deficits. That will tend to fill any gaps and make it much cleaner. But your body's, that's just how the body is. It's going to be much stronger in a pushing movement like this, much harder in a pushing movement like that. So we need to try and work out, how to force the body into those positions, even though it doesn't want to. How many pike push-ups do I need to do before handstand push-ups? Just see if you can do a chest to wall handstand push-up. and that will tell you whether you're strong enough. If you're too worried to get into it, you could do a back to wall one like I demonstrated a second ago with the leg bent. Practice that, see if you can do it. If you can't do it for one clean repetition, you probably need to do more pike push-ups. But again, it depends on how good your balance is and your body position. But we should be able to bang out, 5 pike push-ups and hold a conversation while we're doing it. Should give you enough. But again, it's hard because they're different movements. How long do you think it will take to learn handstands, and how many times a week do you think you should practice? It's so different for everybody. If you're consistent, you'll learn quicker, and if you're not consistent, you'll learn slower. And it depends on how good you are actually doing the drills compared to just playing. I'm not saying you won't get a handstand by just playing, but it's just a very harder to progress consistently with play. At some point, there needs to be some structure around it. If there's a structure, most people can get it quickish. But again, some people it takes 12 months to balance a 10-second hold. Some people it takes a week. So yeah, it's very based on the individual. Goodbye. How does one get real straight arm strength? My bent arm strength is so good. I can do all the bent arm presses, but can't seem to get perfect straight arm tuck press. Do things like skin the cat is really good. Get fantastic at that type of thing. Planche. Do planche leans, 20 to 30-second holds in a planche lean. Static positions in straight arm positions. Then add in dynamic as well. Hello there. I'm from Finland. Hi. I'm training 2 one-arm handstand. Awesome. Close, but not yet. Yeah, one-arm handstand is like that as well, where you feel like you're right on the edge of it, and then it just takes another 12 months. But, progress slowly. Lots of video in of yourself so you can see what you're doing. Get a master at critiquing. Make sure your hip is on top of your shoulder, on top of your hand, and the rest will look after itself. I'm getting more comfort from a full one-arm handstand than doing one-arm handstand straddle. Yes, everybody says that until they start lifting the hand. So that's normal. Straight handstand, one arms feel easier until you try and lift the hand, and then you'll wish you'd done way more straddle. Straddle with over splits or middle splits is the easiest, fastest way to get a one-arm handstand. But yeah, a lot of people think that it's straight until they lift the hand. Thanks, Paul. If I dedicate a training session to only strength in the handstand position, for example, the push-ups or presses, the next day I can have training session just focused in balance drills using the wall. Yes, I'd probably do your handstand balance followed by some handstand strength. Then do your next session just handstand balance, and then the next session handstand balance plus strength again. So do it that way. Because the balance is so important, and it's a great warm-up for the strength stuff. I have a problem when doing frog to handstand as I straighten my hands to either fly forward or fly backwards. Yeah, not 100% sure what you mean there. So you probably just fly over towards overbalance or underbalance. So I just get an expert doing back to wall and chest to wall frog to handstand. That way you can just use the wall just a little bit to help you where you're overdoing it. Still try and go up to a freestanding handstand, but if you touch the wall, you sort of gives you that feedback, but you don't fail the rep, and then you can follow it with a slow eccentric. Okay, guys, we are done. I think we're 40 minutes just about. Well, you got another question in quick. Is there any shortcut drill to do the one-arm handstand without doing it by straddle? Yeah, you can do it. Like my straddle's never been good. Never been great. I don't do much side flag. So you can get it. It's just harder. And you can do it in straight. I'm sure there's people that have learned a one-arm handstand in straight, but just a little bit of straddle. If I do a small straddle-ish position, you'll be able to do this. But if you can't, you should be able to do that. If you can't do that, you need to work on your straddle type flexibility in a handstand, because you really need that to get the one-arm handstand. But there, I can get up into the position there. That's not much straddle. But if I do lots of stretching, make that better, then go into some flag work, make that better. My one-arm handstand is going to be 100 times easier. No doubt about it. Well, you're doing well. You're getting the questions in before I can finish the stream. When I am doing handstand on parallettes, it doesn't matter how much I put pressure on my wrist, I would fall forward. Again, what can I do? So you need to get the shoulders more active, even if it means bending the arms a little bit. Parallettes is all about pulling and pushing yourself around a little bit more. So you're gripping and pulling and like this type of thing against the bar. Way more. So probably your shoulders are too open in the position. So let me show you. So what you're probably doing here, instead of balancing like this. So when you're learning on P-bars, I balance like this. My arms are slightly bent, my shoulders are forward, my body's more in a banana position, but I can balance instead of this. So now my shoulders are really open and I can't control that, and I fell over. So my hips and legs felt like they go on top, and I had no control in that position because you don't have fingers in front of you. Even in your floor handstand, I'd do the same as well. Prioritize the shoulders, the arms, and you'll be able to pull yourself around much more in the balance. How do you get over the fear of doing handstands in a closed place where you can't bail? Because I can hold a handstand outside, but every time I try in a closed space, I have a mental block. Yeah, so that's just trying to build confidence in positions that you're okay with. So don't go to somewhere where there's no space whatsoever and then try and do it. And so if you can do it in an open space, try and just make it a little bit more like closed in, but have a bail option so your body knows, okay, I can get back out in this direction. So maybe you can't go to the right hand side, but you can go to the left hand side, and just build that confidence in that position. But it probably also means that you need to do more wall work. So make sure that you've got your underbalance and your overbalance control, and your window of balance is bigger and bigger. Because once your window of balance is bigger, you can literally do a handstand anywhere, because you know you can slowly go into the handstand and the base is always in control. If your hips and legs still feel like they're in control, they're going to take you over every time, and you're like out of control. Like I just demoed there on those P-bars, because I opened the shoulders so much and the hips and legs got over the top, I couldn't stop myself. I was going over. So if there was something there, I would have hit it. But if I stay in my balanced handstand, I'm going to be fine. So it's all about making sure that you have enough balance or enough control to do the thing that you're doing. So you just want to slowly decrease the space while you're also increasing your options in terms of some bent arm strength, some straight arm strength, some bigger window of balance. But that's totally normal. Everyone has a point they get to where they can't go any further, and then when they get a little bit better, they can then go to that next step. Thanks, Paul. I'll be here again next stream. See you later, dude. Cool. Keep practicing. Hi, I'm not able to hold hips over wrist. What should I do? Hang. So that's the quickest, easiest way to get better mobility in that position. I think that's what you mean. Okay, I'm going to disappear, guys. We're at 43 minutes, 40 seconds. I said this one was going to be half an hour. So make sure, so if you look at the top, the pinned post, it shows you where to post your videos. So if you want me to critique your videos on the next live, stick them in there. At the moment, I'm getting about 2 or 3 every one. I'm doing these every couple of days. Just seeing if we've got anyone put stuff in there yet. Okay, this is not updating for some reason. No, it's not updating. Okay, I'll have a look. But anyway, stick your video submissions in there, public or unlisted YouTube video, and give me a little bit of background, and I'll critique your videos in the next live. Thumbs up and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. If you're not, I have my app, I have my UK workshop coming up, and I have my online coaching. If you'd like to support the channel in any way, I'll speak to you guys in the next one.